from the source. All right, Dallas Mavericks, you are up next. They make 2 trades for 2 players that I think fit really well, Brendon, within what they do, the way Luka Doncic in particular plays. The big one is PJ Washington and 2 second-round picks. Go from Charlotte. Charlotte gets Grant Williams, Seth Curry, and a top 2 protected 2027 first-round pick. And then they also get Daniel Gafford from the Washington Wizards, and it costs them Rashawn Holmes and draft compensation. Brendon, I think both moves I really, really like. The PJ Washington one I've seen more split opinion on so far in the reading I've done about the deadline. But considering the Grant thing, which I was high on, I'll take the L on this. I liked them getting Grant Williams. I liked what he can provide. I still don't totally want to write him off as a guy that can contribute. We've seen him play in good teams before, obviously, and be a positive player on those spots. But PJ Washington is just better than Grant Williams right now, and I think he's going to fit really nicely with them. His contracts are really good value as well. I think Dallas did some just really good business to reinforce this roster right now. And with Gafford, who's just who I saw someone tweet is the least embarrassing Wizard this year, and I think he's just a good player. And I think Washington is versatile, can do a lot for you, and I think he's going to thrive in this environment.
Yeah, I think the thing with Washington is he's maybe not as big as you would like at the 4 spot for Dallas, but that's never really been how they've built their team. You know, like Derrick Jones Jr. has been starting at the 4 for them a lot of the season. Even when they were in the conference finals, it was Dorian Finney-Smith. So this is sort of their MO. They want to be flexible. They want to be a little more swarming, especially since Jason Kidd has come in on the defensive end. And they want to have athleticism and length around Luka. So it fits how they've built it. It's just, to me, you know, I would prefer a little more size. But the thing is with PJ, I loved him. You know, I used to pay a lot more attention to the draft back when he was a prospect. And one of the things I loved about him is how physical and the way he could play bigger than he is. That made him more exciting to me. And I don't think he's really gotten to do much of that since going to Charlotte. And under Borrego, they were such an offense-first team, and then the past few years, their defense just generally has not had a lot of difference makers to kind of insulate him or make him any better. So hopefully this can, and that he can show some of that, and he'll have to, because if he's just an offensive guy for them, they don't really need that. I don't think he'll make a big, huge impact, but if he can be a two-way player, you're talking about somebody who we might start thinking of as like a centerpiece for this team if all goes according to plan. So I like it from that standpoint. Can we go through now, though, what it took to get him in some? Because the Mavericks did a sign and trade to get Grant Williams.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, Dallas's track record of moves is very funny because they often just throw more picks to fix the moves that didn't work before, which I kind of respect, but it is kind of funny that that's just kind of what they do, and they're trading like a top 2 2027 first-round pick, top 2 protected 2027 first-round pick is just one of the funnier pick protections I've seen as far as the trade goes. It's just like, we don't want to give you like a real pick, but we don't have a lot else. What if we just slap some fake protections on it, which for a pick we're hoping is like somewhere in the 20s.
They've been scouting the freshmen in high school, and they're convinced it's a 2-player draft or something. I don't know. So it's a little bit hard to fully do because even in this trade, right, they get 2 seconds. And they did the same thing with the Grant Williams deal. They gave up 3 seconds. They gave up 2 seconds and they got 2 seconds in the Grant Williams trade. So let's just say that's nothing.
Did you by chance see the tank? Did you see the Tankathon? Or I think it was a Twitter post where they just like pointed out all the trades. It was second round picks, and it's like it felt like every damn pick in the second round. It was like I think next year is like converted to another team. Like, it's not in order anymore. It's just like, we just trade these These are
Yeah.
these are fun money. Like it's kind of wild. Like what second round picks are. They're just
It was fewer this year, though. Last year was
Yeah.
the year where everybody was going for
Yeah.
like 4 and 5. This year it was a little less. But okay, so last summer they trade an unprotected 2030 pick swap to the Spurs to get Grant Williams. Let's just call it that was the trade, because again, seconds went both directions. Now they trade a top 2 protected straight up pick in 2027 plus Seth Curry to get PJ Washington. So basically, they gave up 2 first-round picks for PJ Washington when it was all said and done, plus a lot of other nonsense that's probably not doing them any favors in terms of their future flexibility. And Seth Curry, who I don't think is a playoff guy, but had played minutes for them, and they gave real money to. He's not a minimum player. So, they like to shoot themselves in the foot, and they are a very active team in the deadline. I think it's now 8 straight trade deadlines the Mavericks have made a deal, at least one deal.
Yep.
So
feels right.
Very, very active. But yeah, I like the move. Gafford, I love. I think as much as you can get excited about Derek Lively, I've seen Mavericks fans refer to him as a member of the Mavs Big Three. I think that's hilarious. He's a rookie center. He's 19 years old.
We need like Merriam-Webster to like weigh in and give us like an actual definition of big threes before people like. Did you meet the literal definition in the dictionary for a big three?
Yeah.
I think we need.
It's like how in the load management rules the league defined like you were an all-star within this realm of time, and it has to be that. You don't get to be a member of a big three unless you've like fulfilled the certification. But I don't think Gafford is some sort of star either, but it's at least better protection for Lively, where if you're telling me Dallas gets Denver in the first round, like he's chopped liver trying to guard Nikola Jokic. So this is at least just a playable big, and especially when you compare it to where they were last postseason, where they had basically 0 of those, to have 2 plus Kleba if he's healthy is a really nice spot to be in, and I think they'll be a deeper team heading into this playoffs, which is huge and might be the difference between them advancing and not advancing. I mean, they didn't even make the playoffs last year, but you know what I mean.
A really interesting team also just from a standings perspective, because they are currently 8th. They're a game and a half back of the Kings. They're 2 full games back of the Suns and the Pelicans. They're they're a game and a half ahead of the Lakers, 2 ahead of the Jazz, and 3.5 ahead of the Warriors. They're kind of in their own little zone right now. But you would think, Brendon, with these moves and obviously just with the talent they have, they're the team I think in that 8 to in that play-in range and below. They're the one now I think you'd have to look at and think, okay, are they the team that's going to make a real push to push New Orleans out of the top 6? Like, yes, do they have some ground to make up? For sure. 2.5 games isn't nothing, and the Pelicans are playing pretty good basketball and didn't really make any real moves in their own right at the deadline. They're going to stay in the tax and just got rid of Keir Lewis. Other than that, they're keeping it intact. Dallas is, I think, in a position now just with the competency of the trades they made. They didn't do anything, go get another star. They just made competent basketball trades, and I think that has them poised to push for the top 6.
I think you would have to hope so. I think they're, on paper, a more talented team than the Pelicans, I guess. I kind of say that as I question it myself, because I think New Orleans is very deep, but where Sacramento and New Orleans might have them beat with depth, I think, you would like to say, right? Luka, Kyrie, PJ Washington, Derek Lively, and, some 3-and-D wings. That should be enough to be better than those other groups. So, yeah, 6 should be their goal, and hope the chips fall in the right place to feel good about your first-round opponent. But it's just weird that we're here with a generational player on a team that's like fighting to make the playoffs every year.
And some of that is on Dallas, and I think some of it is on the West is just perpetually a juggernaut. The West is perpetually just hard. Like Luka.
Can we cover this real quick? I want to say this because people think that Brunson would not have been Brunson here.
No,
do you agree with me on this?
Yeah.
They play the same way.
Yeah. There is an inevitable point, Brendon, I think, in team building where at the highest level, the teams that are the best, the Nuggets are really like the anomaly to this because Jokic is an anomaly in his own right. But you have overlap at times. You have overlapping skills, you have overlapping talent, you have overlapping strengths. Oftentimes, I think 99% of the time, that requires sacrifice from someone. In Dallas, in this specific case study, that is never happening with Luka Doncic. This is Luka. The day someone can make Luka adjust how he plays is the day that I think the earth turns on its other axis. For better or for worse. I think like he is who he is. Oftentimes it's very good. Jalen Brunson could never, ever be what he is with the Knicks without the opportunity to do it, and he was never going to get that opportunity in Dallas. And it's why, like, if you're going to go get a kind of different kind of point guard to play with, Kyrie, for all of the very many things you could say about Kyrie and how much he does like to play with the ball in his hand and dominate at times, that guy has a track record based on playing with LeBron, playing with Durant, of being able to pick his spots in every way and doesn't need to dominate the ball in the same way and can play off of Luka in a way that I don't think Brunson is totally equipped to. That's just the nature of their skill sets a little bit. But yeah, Brunson absolutely was never going to be this guy with Luka. There wasn't like a two-headed monster with those two guys sitting there in plain view that Dallas messed up. Brunson needed to go to New York if he was ever going to be this.
Yeah, in the second round in 2022, when they upset the Suns, he was Brunson, 19, 4, and 3 on 45% shooting from the field. And
Fine.
In Golden State, in that series, the third round, he was 18, 4, and 4 on 46% shooting. Very serviceable player, but not a guy that's why he's paid what he's paid. So, yeah, I think they're still just trying to figure out what the right pieces are. It's not for a lack of trying. I mean, Porzingis, Brunson, Kyrie, they've tried, but yeah, they still are out on the outside looking in of a surefire playoff spot right now.